Hi, we are today immersed in the possibility of the hold down. And the hold down is not, I'm talking of the political and social life, but of the economy. The lockdown is becoming a hold down for the simple reason that the authorities all over the world are in two minds. On the one side, the Swedish Prime Minister has just stated that he would, under no circumstances, order a lockdown. And there are reports that the Indian Prime Minister has opted for an extension of the lockdown of the whole country of 131.3 billion. What's the effect going to be on economy? Is it going to be post-COVID? Is it still we are in the stage of pre-COVID, or are we in the coronavirus midstream? There are three possible scenarios that emerge. I'm not a pessimist, I'm an optimist, and I always think that every disaster is going to result in a better system, both administrative, judicial, political, and social. Unfortunately, our administrative system is gone bonkers. The political leaders all over the world, with exception of possibly two or three, are showing paucity of vision and they are incapable of thought. There seems to be an arteriosclerosis of intellect, ossification of human feelings, and disregard towards the coming generation. We are more concerned with preserving the life of the old and the parasitic elements of the society while considering the present generation. What about the coming generations? What sort of the word are we going to offer to the coming generation? A devastated world with absolutely age old system. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that. But are our children going to inherit a wasteland, or are they going to inherit a lush green system, a new system, of course, which is tailored to the needs of the people? Coming back to the original question, what is the possibility of the reality emerging? Till now, the politicians the world over are engaged in blaming game. The West is blaming China. China is blaming USA. And the truth is somewhere in between. Being a realist, I would say that this coronavirus pandemic would last along with deep economic recession it has created. When people talk that we are going to emerge in a state of recession, they are deluding themselves. And these self deluded political leaders mislead the masses. We are in recession, let's not deny the fact. If the GDP falls to the precariously low level, what is it if it's not recession? It is, as a matter of fact, recession at par, worse than of 1930s. So considering the possible scenario, the three possible scenarios of the present situation. The first one, provided we have effective medical and economic response, which is not there, the possibility is that the crisis would rise explosively and would peter out. A deep recession in the first half of 2020 could be followed by a sharp, V-shaped recovery. Would that happen? Let's see further. Let's have a look at the scenario 2. The virus and the recession will continue till the month of September or possibly October. Winter sets in most of the parts of the northern hemisphere in November, and correspondingly there will be higher deaths and bankruptcies. The economy will suffer long and hard, despite all the possible government injection of funds and influx of funds and the rescue packages. GDP might recover marginally, but will hobble along in a crippled manner till the end of 2020. Not a very happy scenario. Scene 3, and that's possible. The virus will take ages to control and may return in a second wave, in the third wave, in the fourth wave. In a secret letter which was circulated by Political Bureau of China, the PLA has been ordered to be ready to march into Vietnam, into Laos, into Thailand, to so that the Ming dynasty dream of Chinese hegemony is there. And this letter, this leaked letter of the President Xi was published in South China Post today morning. Somebody has taken trouble to publish this letter. And we know that while we are talking of facing coronavirus, Chinese armies are ready to march into the countries to establish political hegemony. So that's going to be the third scenario, and that is going to continue till the end of 2021, wreaking more havoc than all the depressions and the recessions of the past. As a matter of fact, the scenario one, the chances are not more than 30%. That's my reckoning. Scenario two, maybe 60%, and scenario three, the most devastating, maybe 10%. But whatever it is, the situation is alarming. Now, come to the political part. The US hopes for scenario one. During our discussions, we have seen, and President Pence today admitted in an email that the US deaths could skyrocket to 240,000, which were earlier hinted by President Trump, and the unemployment would be to tens of millions. This was admitted in an email by the Vice President of USA. But they expect infection of the political life, deaths and unemployment to fall down as has happened in China, and the US would recover sharply after these deaths. Investment banks like Goldman Sachs have also projected deep recession followed by a sharp recovery in the second half of 2020. And that's why I said 30% of the possibility is there. Because I do not put much hope in the words of the statesman, howsoever close they may be to me personally. I know that they want to sell dreams to the people to mislead people. And my job with you today is to tell you the reality. So, what I expect is that the second of 2020, there'll be stalling of the economy and the situation would worsen. Scenario two, as we said earlier, is very gloomy, and but the possibility is much higher. As a matter of fact, if you remember what Aristotle said, the thing is not only to be possible but also probable. The possibility of scenario one and scenario three is there, but the probability is of scenario two, and that's what's going to happen. And what happens is here the deaths, the infections will grow explosively but not die out as is presumed in scenario one. And countries like Korea, Singapore, Japan, where massive testing is going on, there'll be quick isolation of the infected people. Lockdowns would be there, well enforced public distancing plan. But after self-denial, China has indulged into that. And the China's fresh rate today is 3 per thousand. If that is there, then the possibility would be better. Now, skeptics like me doubt China. We know that it's fudging its figure. It is representing virus deaths as the government of India is doing so. They are not revealing the reality. And they are not revealing it because they don't want the public to get agitated. I can understand the needs of the government to keep and observe the cone of silence. And that cone of silence is good for the morale of the people, but bad for the planning. The political leaders, when they indulge in this double talk, cheat themselves and come up with the plans which are horribly manipulative of the people and are not well conceived. The conditions in India and other such countries are worse than in the richer countries, and that could lead to scenario 3 for them. Till now, the main infection has been either in Europe or in USA and Canada. But if they come to East Asia, India, Myanmar, Thailand, Indonesia, Korea, Philippines, Japan, and then extend up to Nauru and New Zealand, then the situation would be bad. But this higher simply infection figures can be controlled provided the travel is put on hold and the good testing facilities are there. My biggest problem is the careless and the corrupt governments. I'm not referring only to India and Pakistan. As a matter of fact, Iran and Pakistan are worse. And African countries like Zimbabwe, Niger, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Botswana are likely to be much worse. They gravely lack medical equipment, properly trained staff, and the means of propagating the behavior like social distancing. And most important, there is no public trust. Here in India, we saw huge trust. Modi wanted a Diwali like atmosphere and he got one. The social norms and customs in the poorer countries encourage massive gathering of the people for festivals, weddings, and other occasions. Just today in Delhi, sorry, in India, in North India, in one province, they have arrested 50 people, including the bride and the groom, for having a marriage when the lockdown is there. All the 50 members of the marriage party have been arrested. But in urban slums and villages, 4 to 6 people asleep in each hut. That's the real condition. And 70% India lives in villages. How do you expect the social distances to take place? It's easy to talk about it, it's difficult to implement. Look at the slums. 25 people in a house, in a small flat of 600 square feet. How can you maintain social distance? Look at the condominiums, elevators. One person goes, touches a button, and the other person comes and breathes the same way and would be infected. So, the digital competence is also lacking. Households depend on the service of sweeping, cooking, driving. The digital competence, as I said, does not facilitate massive working from the home for white collar jobs, and the crowded bazaars and the workplaces are common. Maybe a vaccine would be developed, but that's a big maybe. Maybe high temperatures will inhibit the virus, but again, that's a maybe. And WHO has admitted that the temperatures are going to be a deciding factor. The chances of scenario one are limited. Scenario 2 is a haunting reality that we are facing today. Now, my question to you is A, do you have trust in all the sampling and the modeling done by the so called research institutes? Don't forget, there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. Well, all statistics can be easily manipulated by the bean counters, and you can be presented a picture which may be removed from the reality. So what do? You have to use your sense of acute fine discrimination. You have to use your sense of absolute acceptance or rejection or partial acceptance. But again, what Aristotle said 3,200 years back, if something appeals to you and is both possible and probable, that would happen. Even impossible things would not happen, improbable things would not happen. And what the governments are saying that they'll control coronavirus, maybe in 10 days, 15 days, 2 months, is not going to happen. If they say there's not going to be much of recession, it's not going to happen. So be prepared for scenario two, the haunting one. Be prepared for the unemployment. Be prepared for restrictions on the travel. Be prepared for a new life. And as I said yesterday, be prepared for a new world order to emerge. Be prepared for micro industry and the micro businesses. That is going to be the future of the post COVID era. COVID era, we have seen the three scenarios. Post COVID, we'll talk about it sometime next week. But the future is haunting, not fearful. I'm not a pessimist. It is haunting for its mystery. It's like a girl, who is mysteriously alluring and is leading us in the dark alleys. We don't know what's going to happen. Let's hope that alluring girl leads us to a new dawn of hope. Thinking about it, let's be prepared for the frauds that can be there. Thank you.